Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's that time of week. It's games time. The gamekeeper's come down from the mountain and brought with him the gaming news for the week. So yeah, YouTube. Yep, there's YouTube, and there's video, and video is good, and YouTube is good. So go there, check us out, see what we look like and stuff like that. While you're there, if you could hit the subscribe button, we would be super appreciative. So yeah, here we go. This is CookieCast, the Game's Keeper. Yeah, yeah, we're going. Yeah, okay, cool, we're going. Right then, it's Friday in our world, Saturday in your world, or whichever day you're listening to or watching this, in fact. It can mean only one thing. Another week has passed, another week in the gaming world stroke industry, and the man that collates all the information, brings it down from the mountain to us, the people on the ground, is the Game's Keeper. JK,
it's me.
How the devil are you?
Good, yeah.
Good
been
week.
Another exciting week. Yeah, last week was an exciting week. This week has also been an exciting week. The streams just keep on coming, and there is an end in sight, but there's still quite a bit to go. I have to say, there's like 3 or 4 major streams coming up. So yeah, it's been good. Got plenty to talk about.
Fantastic. Well, in that case, let's get cracking.
So, I will start with the Avengers, because I feel I should start with the Avengers, only because I made a comment probably a few podcasts back saying that the Avengers look terrible. I'd seen the release trailer and I was like, this is rubbish. In fact, me and Shan watched it and we were both like, this is terrible, what is this? I take it all back. I'm doing a complete U-turn. After seeing the stream on Tuesday, I think it was, the game looks great. It looks like Marvel Alliance, but better. I mean, have you ever played Marvel Alliance?
I love Marvel Alliance. Right,
this feels like Marvel Alliance, but with better graphics, cooler armor, and there's going to be tons of characters released. So for the moment, what we picked up from Avengers basically was, you start off with 5 characters. So I think you've got Black Widow, Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor, and you can kind of choose each of the characters and you go through and build up their skills, and you can unlock different armor types. So as you go through the world, you unlock comic book covers, and each comic book cover like gives you a new armor piece. So that's really cool. A bit like Alliance. If I remember rightly, in Alliance you collected comics, right? So you do that. So you've got a single player campaign with all of those. There's multiplayer co-op. There's multiplayer war zones. And there's apparently going to be tons and tons of content throughout the game, which is totally free. So all new characters are going to be free, according to the live stream. So that's promising.
That's interesting.
£1.69 or £3.69 for a character. Free content. Everything you play, so whether you do co-op or Warzone or campaign, all the XP that you get with that character counts towards your main character. So if you say do Warzone, which is like a 4-player co-op, with like different set missions, as you do that, when you go back to the main campaign, you would have kept all the XP and everything you found there, so you're constantly evolving.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's really cool. The special moves look exciting. So each character's got its own special move. They've got 3 sets of special moves. You've got melee, you've got ranged, and you've got like a special move. And then as you play with your mates, you can have combo special moves. So they showed like a trick with Iron Man and Thor where they did this kind of killer move, and then they showed like a 4-player version using Hulk and Iron Man and Thor and someone else, and it was really cool. So yeah, Avengers looks cool, so keep your eyes open for that, and I think it's out in September, so it drops really soon.
Wasn't this the one that was supposed to have I was about to say Elastigirl, but I'm pretty sure she's from Incredibles.
Yeah, it is Kamala Khan or somebody like that. She's like Miss Marvel or someone.
Yeah.
Like that. Miss Marsh, she's...
Isn't she like the main character?
She's one of the characters. To me, it didn't look like there was a main character. I think there are 5 main characters, and she's one of them. So actually, I might be wrong. There might be a 6th main character. Not 5, there might be 6, because I forgot about Miss Marvel, actually. Because I was too focused on Thor and Hulk, I was like, wow, they look great. Because some of the suits they previewed, they had Hulk's suit from Ragnarok.
Huh.
So he's got like the gladiator outfit. So I was like, that's cool.
I remember watching some of the reveal stuff and the various bits and pieces that have come since, and it looked like the most linear game that had ever been made. Like the bridge fight, where you're working your way across the bridge, it was like, could that be any more linear? It was just,
see, that was all in that,
go forward.
First release trailer.
Yeah.
And I thought it was awful. But what I saw on Tuesday was not that at all. There was like a whole bunch of people fighting on a helicarrier, and it literally just felt like Marvel Alliance, but closer, like more third person. So it was more like, it was as close as, like, you get that view that you kind of get in Ghost Recon, but with Marvel characters. Whereas I always felt that Alliance, you're always quite far away.
Yeah, there's absolutely no detail involved because the characters are like that big.
Yeah, well, this it just feels like what they've done is just made that bigger.
Right.
So yeah, get it, pre-order it, because I don't think it'll be disappointing. I'm pre-ordering because it's just
I'll definitely be on it.
Yeah. Next this week was Cyberpunk. So obviously we knew that Cyberpunk had been delayed, so everyone was disappointed. But they came back and said, "Oh, but we have got exciting news, and this is what we're talking about." So in the Cyberpunk stream, it did actually have the release date still as November. So that still seems to be on track. They showed a new trailer, which was a bit like the other one. Really, I mean, the coolest thing I took away from the trailer was the cars. I think the cars look great.
They're putting a lot into the car.
It feels like futuristic GTA. It's like GTA 2077.
I saw a thing today that said Rockstar are trading in horses for cars, and it's like,
right.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But it looked good. The graphics are nice, without a doubt. They were talking about what they plan to do and how they're going to move going forward, and they didn't talk about DLC. They didn't talk about multiplayer. The only touch they had on the PS5 was they said that if you get it on the PS4, you automatically get an upgrade for the PS5, so you effectively get the PS5 version for free.
So I had a conversation about that today.
Right.
So obviously CD Projekt Red have announced these various things. So it was basically somebody put a question to me about, so what, you buy the PS4 version, you play it on your PS4, then at the point that you switch to the PS5, you keep your PS4 version and put that in your PS5, and you will get like a download with the additional things required to like upscale it.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. So yeah, it upscales it. It's mainly a graphics though, but there are some other things in there as well. They didn't really go into detail because I think they want to keep it under wraps until release. But yeah, the basically what happens is if you got it on the PS4, you're effectively getting the PS5 edition for free if you own a PS5. I think it's because, in my opinion, and I said this yesterday, was that when Cyberpunk was being developed, it was supposed to come out April this year, if not some months previous to that. So it would have definitely been a PS4 release, but because they've taken so long, and this is likely to drop at the same time as the PS5 launch, I think they kind of have to, because they've said that the actual PS5 version won't be available till mid-2021, possibly.
I honestly think the reason they keep pushing the date back is to try and get the date as close to the release of the PS5 as they possibly can.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't see why. If at the end of the day you're just going to have a patch with a graphics overhaul, what difference does it make?
I think they see it as a selling point.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. There is some debate online at the moment about whether it's worth waiting and what's the actual difference. Like, do I wait to get Do I wait to get Cyberpunk on the PS5? I would say probably not. If you've already pre-ordered it, go get it, play it when it comes out. Unless you're going to buy a PS5 on the actual launch day, but then you'll have to wait till the summer before you can play Cyberpunk PS5 edition. Which leads me nicely on to the Xbox X reveal. So,
is it me, or is the Xbox X the most... It's like the quietest next generation console you've never heard of? Because
I didn't
nobody's talking about it.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Apparently in May, Xbox had done like a release, like a pre-launch thing.
Apparently so.
And all they showed like a lot of third-party titles, and apparently it was really like underwhelming. So I kind of missed that. That's how underwhelming it was. But their official launch chat reveal is going to be July. There's no exact date. It just says July. But they're going to be showcasing Halo Infinite. There's talk of Halo Infinite, Fable 4, Hellblade 2, and something new from the guys that created Red Dead Redemption. The writers from Red Dead Redemption have got an as yet untitled game specifically for the Xbox as an exclusive. But Xbox have got 15 studios, so I would expect them to release something.
Yeah, through certainly the back end of this generation, they've been buying up studios left, right, and centre. Yeah. Which is literally the opposite of what anybody associated with Sony does. They take companies out the back and have them shot.
Yeah, they do.
Oh yeah, we're a big company. We'll buy you up, and then you'll never be heard of again. Whereas Microsoft do seem to be acquiring companies and then keeping them around. But going back to the launch that was in May, the only reason that I knew that had taken place was a mate of mine texted me and was like, "Oh, what do you think to the launch stuff?" And I was like, "What launch stuff?" The Xbox stuff from last night. Didn't know it was happening. That's how quiet that whole thing has been. And since then, it's like they've crawled off into a hole, pulled the cover down and gone, forget we were ever here. It's the quietest next-gen console ever.
Yeah, it is.
It's
But
weird.
I think after their reveal in July, I think things will change. Because, I had a quick look at the Halo Infinite site today, because they're using a new engine to run Halo, and it does look breathtaking. It's probably the best looking game I've seen yet. It looks really, really nice. So if that's the future of what Xbox games are going to look like, then they're way ahead of PlayStation 5. Because what I saw on PlayStation 5 was basically PlayStation 4 games.
Yeah.
They didn't look particularly impressive.
Nope.
What I've seen on the Halo website, it looks like something that's come off of a top of the range PC. It's beautiful. Like the detail on the characters is just wow. They're really good. Go and have a look. Go and have a look. That's all I can say.
I've seen a couple of images and quick clips and things, but nothing like full length or anything like that.
There's like a 5-minute thing on there.
Okay. If I'm honest, when I hear the word Halo, my mind goes all the way back to Halo, and I go, "Aw, Halo. Oh, you remember when Halo was good?" And then everything that's come since. It's
an old franchise.
Yeah, and how much
original franchise.
How much further has it come on, especially now that it's not being made by the company that originally made it?
Well, go and have a look, and then tell me what you think.
Okay.
So that leads you on to The Last of Us, then.
So, it's one of those things. It's difficult for me because I do X number of podcasts a week. I remember there was a new podcast app released, and it spoke about like a mate of mine was like, "Oh, I'm using this new podcast app." It was like, "Look what it says for CookieCast," and the release schedule was releases podcasts almost daily. So it was like pretty much. So I have to divvy my information up, and I said on this week's Darkest Timeline, I was like, I will continue to do games reviews through that podcast because I always have done. That's how I've always done it. However, there is a games podcast. We do a games podcast. It's a weekly thing, so there will be more of a review coming through for certain games through this platform. Last of Us Part 2. I mean, let me get this right out there on Front Street. This game is beautiful. I was playing something last night and I was like, for whatever you want to say about this game, however you want to review it, whether you've got issues with the way that they've done this and some of the story points and things like that, it is a beautiful game. And it's always the simple things. It was swimming through like a big hole in the ground that had collected water, but it had like the little green leafy things on top, and when you swim through it, you leave a trail going through it.
Oh wow! Yeah,
and I'm like, right there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy around this game for a multitude of reasons, largely because of the chasm between the industry game score and the user game score. 95, 96 out of 100 versus 3.2.
Has that changed since? Is that any different? I didn't look at that today.
It was worse the next day, where the user score was 3.4 out of 10 with 6,806 reviews. The next day it was 3.2 out of 10 with over 26,000 reviews. I actually treated myself to going into the user reviews, and out of the first 10, one of them was 1, all the others were 0. If you believe the internet, the players, the users, the people who have played this game, which this was the day after it was released.
Yeah.
If you believe what the internet says, people hate this game and cannot hate it anymore. They physically can't hate it more. They were giving it 0 scores.
But they can't have finished the game.
Exactly. And what I said was, at that point in time, I was 2, 3, nearly 4 hours into it, and for me, as a player of the first game, really enjoyed the first game until recently, it was 4 out of 10 for me. Wow. However, between 4, 5 and 6 hours in, going up into the 5s and the 6, once you pass that point, once you get into the game, once the game finally allows you to actually play, it's a solid 7 out of 10. And just at the point that it was about to creep up into the 8 out of 10, the game slammed the brakes on and was like, whoa, we don't want that extra point. No. We've got a major pacing issue with this game, and we need you to understand that. We can't pace for shit. So we need you to go back in time to play a different character at a point in time where we want to give you a piece of story that's going to make you think a certain thing. But it's going to be slow, tedious, boring, completely take away from the fast-paced game that you've finally got. Something that every now and then you get a game where the people who have made it have decided that they've got the best story of any game, and that story absolutely has to be told. and they sacrificed the game for the story. Last of Us Part 2, unfortunately, is one of these. The first one had a great story, but there was a game with it. This one is a story, and every now and then you get to play it. And that's the problem, because for the first nearly 6 hours of that game, that's the problem. Some of the cutscenes are 20 minutes long. You're essentially watching a film and pressing a button every now and then. Yeah, and that, I think, is where a large number of those early reviews were coming from.
Right, yeah.
Ask me if it's 10 out of 10. The answer's no. The pacing is it's too all over the shop to be a 10 out of 10 game. It's not even a 9, and unfortunately, after what happened whilst I was playing last night, it's not even an 8 out of 10. 7 out of 10, yes, but there are things that they could have done easily, simply, and so on, to make it 8, 9, 10 out of 10. I'm not going to go into other controversies because I don't care. I have no interest or issue with anything else that other people might find problems with this game. I don't care. There's nothing to do with me. All I want is a good experience. It's a good story, but I'd like a little bit of game with my story. So that's Last of Us Part 2.
Fair enough. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was just to mention the current scandal surrounding the games industry with stories of harassment, sexual harassment and rape, which I think started off at Ubisoft this week when some guy was fired for, was it not the director of a current game that's being developed?
It was the director of a current game that is in its final stage.
But he was fired for cheating, apparently. So
yeah,
it was because he was cheating on his missus.
So
but now, because of that, it seems to have started a #MeToo wave.
The thing about it was that he was fired for cheating. He was married with children, but the thing that seemed to be the breaking point of this is apparently he flaunted his marriage along with his cheating, and that's the issue.
I don't really understand that part.
No, I don't, I'm afraid.
That to come out. But whatever he did, whatever he got fired for, it started a whole new thing. So on CNN this morning, they were saying that the entire games world has been rocked by whatever's going on. So watch this space, because I think it's going to shake up a few things. And if you're a woman out there and you've got some sexual harassment cases, now's the time to come forward, because that's what everyone's doing. I mean, it's rubbish that this still happens, to be honest. The fact this even goes on in companies like Ubisoft and Microsoft and whoever's involved, I think that's just outrageous. I mean, we're not in the dark ages anymore. But yeah, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
And on that cheerful note, that wraps up the end of this week, right? I haven't got anything else to talk about.
I haven't got anything else. I mean, you covered the stuff that I'd seen, so all I could add to this was obviously The Last of Us 2 was just a train that kept on rolling. Yeah. And it's the game I'm playing at the moment. Unless you want me to tell you about how I was playing FIFA last night. I mean, I don't think anyone's tuning in for that.
What I want to know is, have you spent £500 trying to unlock Ronaldo?
No.
Okay. Did you play as Liverpool?
No.
Okay.
Don't ask if I played as Leeds either. Never going to hear the end of that one.
Then no, it's a non-story, I'm afraid.
So yeah, I was like, well, I might as well cover my perspective of The Last of Us 2. So yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I haven't played it, so I can't comment.
Well.
So yeah, sorry to disappoint.
Well, there we go. That's another week of games in the bag. As always, the gamekeeper, like a sheepdog, herds the game's information into a nice pen,
one space,
and then fires it all over the internet in multitude.
Well, there's
of
more
ways.
to come. So in the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because it's a quiet time on the game's playing front, but it's a very busy time on the game's news front. So
it is.
You know, swings and roundabouts,
We'll
rights
see.
and goes. Thank you very much for making the time, and thank you for joining me. And until next week,
Welcome.
I'll see you then.
later.
Bye.
Bye. Sweet.
So there we go. What do you think to that? Another one done. Another week of games news gone and in the bag. Cool. YouTube watchers, do subscribe. You know it's the right thing to do. We'll love you forever. Everybody jump over to thecookiecast.com. Check us out there. We've got social media links and emails. Email button. You can just click and it'll do an email and you can send us some love and we'll read it out for you. How's that? Let us know what you're playing at the moment. Give us a review of what you're playing. Whatever it is, we'll read it out. How's that? So that's it for this one. Join us next week for more games news, and join us at any time for more from CookieCast. Till then, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.